Welcome to a new episode of Cheaters Always Cheat. Like, subscribe, and share to stay connected.
My ex-wife left me about 1.5 years ago for a guy who happened to be married to her best friend from high school. Can you believe what kind of friend she turned out to be? We were married for 20 years, and I always believed we had 2 children together. However, I recently discovered that my 6-year-old daughter isn't biologically mine. She actually belongs to the guy she left me for. She knew this from the beginning of her pregnancy and kept it a secret from me. Even though my name is on the birth certificate, I'm determined to fight for custody because I have been her father, and that document carries legal weight. She may not share my blood, but she's still my daughter. It's obvious that this affair has been going on for a while. Finding out about it was a huge shock. When I confronted her and asked her to choose between him and me, she chose him. And you know why? Because he can have closeness multiple times without needing a break. That's the only reason she gave me. I can't believe that after working 2 jobs to support her education and sacrificing my own dreams and music career, she would cheat on me while I took care of our kids. I dedicated my life to our family, but she has always been a cold-hearted woman. Dealing with her bipolar disorder hasn't been easy. Her explosive outbursts and the physical and emotional offense I endured crushed my soul, but I believed she couldn't control it. Turns out that wasn't entirely true. She actually admitted to friends that she would often punch me, just because she felt like it or didn't get her way. My kids had to witness numerous instances where she would physically and verbally offended me. And each time, I chose not to fight back, hating that they had to witness such brutality. Towards the end, she got furious at me for not taking out the trash the moment I got home, and she grabbed me by the neck, squeezing tightly while my son watched in horror. I had to tell her, "Our son will always remember this." That's when she finally let me go. I should have left a long time ago, looking back now. If it weren't for my kids, I probably would have left, but I didn't want them to grow up in a broken home, so I held on to the hope that my wife would return to the person I once loved. But I've come to realize that those days are long gone, and they have been for years. When everything came out in the open, my wife had a conversation with her friend, who happened to be the husband she was having an affair with. She told her friend straight up, "Yes, it's true, and no, I'm not sorry." Then she simply got up and walked away. It was her friend who told me about this. My wife left, took the kids, and moved into an apartment with him, right behind the one we used to share. Even then, I held on to the hope that she would realize he wasn't worth it. He had cheated on his own wife multiple times, not just with my wife, and she knew about it. I spent the whole first year waiting for her to come back. She kept the keys to our shared apartment, and I thought she still held on to them because she planned on returning. But at the end of that year, they started their cruelty all over again. He would show up at the bus stop as I was putting the kids on the bus for school and say, "I've come to see my daughter off to school, not your daughter, mine." I replied, "Then why were you perfectly fine for the past 5 years, letting me raise her, giving her my last name, being there for her birth, and raising her as if she were my own? Where were you? Why is my name on the birth certificate as her father instead of yours?" That nearly earned me a punch to the face, and it did lead to both of them drunkenly visiting me at the end of the night, because he came looking for a fight. After that, my ex decided to make everything public. She went on Facebook and boasted about her new boyfriend. Our friends were shocked and reached out to me and his wife about it. I made sure to collect as many screenshots as possible. It seems like she doesn't care about the mess she's created for herself with our upcoming divorce. But then again, why should she? I already caught her with the paternity test. In the end, I became self-destructive. I kept wondering what I could have done differently. Or better, she blamed me for not being there for her. But how could I have been when I was working 2 jobs just to make ends meet? I didn't have the energy to clean when I got home because I was exhausted from working 16-hour shifts. And yet, she would scream at me about the trash while our kids had been drawing on the walls, destroying blinds, and making holes in the wall under her watch. But apparently, not taking out the trash was the big issue. The hardest part was that I desperately wanted my family back, and I started blaming myself for everything. It took me a while to realize the truth of the situation. It all changed when my brother insisted that I join his band. Even though I initially said no, he pushed me to meet the other members and make a decision afterward. That completely shifted my perspective. I still turned down joining the band, but I formed a friendship with them and ended up casually dating a friend introduced to me by the rhythm guitarist. I quickly fell in love with this amazing woman who was 45 years old, and it was such a relief to be in a loving relationship where there weren't constant arguments and offense. During this time, my ex still had the keys to our apartment, and every now and then she would let herself in to drop off things for the kids. The first time she walked in and found my new girlfriend there, it didn't go well. She called me that night, demanding to know who my girlfriend was and why she was in our apartment. I took pleasure in telling my ex that my girlfriend was none of her business. After all, she was the one who moved on and left me to live with someone else. But in the last few months, my ex has been acting really strange, especially when it comes to my new girlfriend. She's even started stalking her. My ex sent my girlfriend a friend request on Facebook and demanded that she accept it. When my girlfriend refused, my ex called me, screaming that I needed to make my girlfriend accept the request because she wanted to see what kind of person my girlfriend was and who our kids were around. My girlfriend took the phone from me and firmly told her that she didn't need to add her as a friend. Any communication regarding the kids could be done through Messenger or phone calls. My ex doesn't and won't have access to our personal life, friends, and family because she isn't part of my girlfriend's personal circle. This didn't sit well with my ex. My girlfriend showed me that she suddenly received a lot of friend requests from people who were friends with my ex. Afterward, my ex started coming into my place every weekend, even when I wasn't there, to snoop around. I was on the phone with my girlfriend, who was staying with me while I was at work, when my ex walked in. My girlfriend asked her if she needed anything, and my ex claimed she wanted to check how much milk I had in the fridge for when the kids came over. My girlfriend assured her that we had it covered, and my ex left. When I arrived home, I demanded the apartment key from her, since she didn't live there anymore. In response, she took my son's keys and made copies for herself. When my lease ended, my girlfriend suggested that I move in with her so we could create distance from my ex. However, my ex did everything she could to make it difficult for us. She called the police and claimed that I was leaving with her belongings. But when asked to specify what belonged to her in my place, she couldn't name anything. Now we have the kids every other weekend, but my children told me they're not allowed to talk about what they did with me because their mom doesn't want to hear it. That rule didn't last long, though. Now she interrogates my kids to get all the information she can. I'm pretty sure it's because she's jealous. We live on the beach, and my girlfriend is well off. When we have the kids, we take a quick walk to the boardwalk to ride rides, let them play on the beach, or visit the aquarium. But if they come home with prizes, my ex throws them away. Lately, there's been a problem with my ex when she drops off the kids. I noticed that she started dressing and looking very similar to my girlfriend. She even dyed and cut her hair to match hers. Whatever activities we do with the kids, my ex tries to do the same thing the following week. If we go to the beach, she takes them to the beach. If we visit the zoo, she takes them to the zoo. And if she finds out what we had for dinner, she insists on making the same meal and asks our kids to compare and tell her who they liked more. Last week, my son asked to live with us because he thinks my ex is crazy. You better believe I'm bringing up all of this in court. Just when I thought things couldn't get any crazier, the other night my ex started sending me explicit photos via text. It was completely unexpected. My girlfriend was right beside me when those messages started popping up, and I immediately reassured her that I didn't ask for them, and that my ex and I don't communicate like that. To prove it, I offered her my phone to go through and see for herself. My girlfriend looked at the pictures and asked for my ex's number so she could send her own explicit back, just to show her how it's done. I called my ex and confronted her about what she was doing. I made it clear that my girlfriend saw the messages and was furious. My ex tried to claim that she meant to send them to someone else. My girlfriend pointed out that my name is at the beginning of the alphabet while her boyfriend's name is at the end, so it didn't add up. She even asked who the new guy was since the photos were supposedly meant for someone else. Frustrated, my ex hung up. I honestly have no idea what kind of game my ex is playing. This whole situation is just insane. I don't live in my old apartment with my wife anymore. I've moved in with my girlfriend because even after I took back the keys from my ex, she managed to get hold of my son's keys and kept breaking in. She doesn't have access to my new place, and my kids don't have keys either to prevent that from happening. So, here's the update. My ex got cheated on by the guy she left me for, and of course, they're back together. Now, not surprising, she's stuck with him since she has no one else to fall back on. Since the last incident, I haven't heard much from her except for a few divorce-related documents and discussions about the kids. I'm grateful for the peace, but I know it won't last long before she gets drunk and sends me another angry rant calling me names. On Halloween, my band was performing at a party organized by a friend. It's a tradition, and my ex used to come with me in the past. Long story short, she wasn't invited to the party, but she showed up anyway with her boyfriend, the same guy she left me for who cheated on her, and my kids. I was furious because it's an adult-only event, and she knew that. I believe she did it to get me kicked out. Security kept telling her she couldn't enter, but she argued that the kids wanted to see their father play. It was a mess, and my friend had to intervene, giving her limited time to stay before threatening to call the police. I found out later that my ex tried to pick a fight with my girlfriend, but my girlfriend put her in her place and called her out for using our kids as pawns. Many people witnessed it and told me about it after my performance. When I arrived, the tension had simmered down, but my ex was still glaring at my girlfriend from across the room. Then my daughter embarrassed my ex by loudly declaring that she has two daddies, me and her mom's boyfriend, who is actually her biological father. That made my ex feel humiliated, and she left the party. However, my son refused to go with her and wanted to stay with me. Her boyfriend found my girlfriend and asked if we could keep him, and she agreed. We made arrangements with my friend to keep my son close to my girlfriend for the rest of the event, and we took him home the next day. When I dropped off my son the next day, my ex intentionally wasn't there. Her boyfriend informed me that she wanted to avoid a confrontation. He apologized and tried discussing her behavior, but I didn't want to engage with him and left. A small update. Today was the official end. We sat on a Zoom call for court, and it took only 5 minutes to finalize everything. Neither of us contested it. No requests were made by her, and the paternity test settled everything. They asked if there was a chance to save the marriage. No. And if I wanted to proceed with the divorce. Yes. Interestingly, they asked her about domestic issues, but not me, despite the fact that I endured it. Anyway, it's over now. The next step is family court for custody, and things are looking in my favor. She wasted no time and posted it on Facebook just 5 minutes after the court ended. I found out through screenshots my friend sent me. She talked about how divorce is tough, but we should set a good example for our kids. She made the mistake of tagging me. My friends called her out for seeking attention on social media instead of focusing on the kids. I can't say anything about that since I'm sharing with strangers here. However, I waited several hours, and none of you know me personally. Anyway, it's finally over, but I'm not sure how I should feel. I just feel empty. Update. My divorce was finalized last month, so that's one hurdle cleared. Christmas was mostly good, except my ex lost her job and the person she cheated with can't support them financially. She came to me for help with the kids, but it annoyed me because she waited until 3 days before Christmas to ask. My girlfriend and I had to scramble to find suitable gifts in crowded stores. Before anyone criticizes me for helping her, I wanted to let my kids see her true colors and not help her at all. Almost did it. But I couldn't ruin my kids' Christmas, so I helped her this one time. I won't do it again. When she came to pick up the presents, she insisted on coming inside to see where the kids slept. I told her it wasn't a good idea, but she claimed it was her right and she had to do it. She tried to bypass me, but my girlfriend confronted her and made it clear that she would never set foot in our house. My ex backed down, but then my girlfriend's friend had to be calmed down from wanting to confront my ex It's like my girlfriend has completely locked out my ex. She tries and fails, then complains to anyone who will listen about being cut out when the kids are with me. My ex has no business being involved in our lives, and my girlfriend has made it clear that she has no place here. Maybe I'm not handling it the best way, but I let my girlfriend take charge in dealing with my ex. She's immune to her manipulation and better at calling out her lies than I am. Since then, my ex hasn't tried playing any games. I've enrolled my kids in therapy because things have gotten worse with them. We installed a camera in the living room, which has caught my daughter lying a lot, including her hitting my son and falsely accusing him of hitting her. We confronted her about it, and she's starting to realize that her lies won't work anymore. My son is frustrated with the slow progress in court and struggles with not being able to live with me full-time yet. However, he has formed a strong bond with my girlfriend, so I'm not worried about him. They actually get along well, which is a relief. However, my son is acting out at his mother's place. He's yelling, punching walls, and getting into arguments. I know he wants to leave there, and I'm doing everything I can to make it happen. I'm confident it will happen eventually. On top of that, I have a new problem with my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend who has started stalking her out of the blue. The funny part is that another ex-boyfriend of hers, who happens to be my bandmate and introduced us, brought it to my attention. This guy went crazy when he found out from the other ex that she's happy and has moved on, and he needs to move on too. His reaction was to crash his car into a guardrail in an attempt to end his life. There's so much craziness happening in my life right now that I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or sell tickets. That's what's going on with me these days. Update. It's been over 2 years since D-Day, and the divorce was finalized 4 months ago. She's still with the affair partner, but I moved on a year ago. Overall, my life is much better without her. Even after all this time, I keep discovering new things. Turns out, she slept with another friend of mine before the AP. It stung a little, to be honest. It's just prolonged the period of time I was deceived. So, I missed the signs twice. Now I'm questioning if my son is. He doesn't resemble me at all. None of his features match mine. Not all of his features match hers either. As much as I wonder, I also wonder if I really want to know the truth. I don't think I can handle another devastating blow. Ignorance can sometimes be bliss, right? I do my best to leave her in the past as much as possible. It's challenging when kids are involved, because I'm stuck co-parenting until they're 18. I tried to have a civil relationship without being emotionally detached, thinking we could work together for the sake of the kids. It's interesting how the ones who should feel guilty are always on the offensive, constantly trying to shift blame even after everything is said and done. It's even more intriguing how she believed she could still control me and be in charge. When I didn't give in, she resorted to lashing out and attacking. She attempted to use her tactics on my girlfriend, but long story short, she's learned to steer clear of her. My girlfriend is strong-willed and has dealt with manipulative people before. In the end, I know I came out on top. I have a fresh start with a new job, a new home, and a new love in my life. I'm doing much better than my ex, who is facing the consequences of her actions. Not only did she destroy our life together, but she also ruined the life of her affair partner, and his ex-wife is going to great lengths to make their lives miserable. Sadly, this chaotic situation affects my kids as their lives are turned upside down by this terrible show. The AP's wife is a prime example of someone who is filled with fury and seeking revenge. She dealt a heavy blow to their finances, and my ex has reached out to me multiple times, complaining about her financial struggles. She lost her job half a year ago and hasn't been able to find work. Instead, she's relying on her AP, who is being drained financially by his own ex. I don't feel sorry for her in the slightest. I just hate how it's affecting my kids. I do what I can for my kids, but only for them. I won't give her money directly, but I'll provide what they need. I won't give her the chance to squander my money on drinking because that's the kind of person she is. And it's part of the reason she got fired. I have to get my kids away from her. My son holds a strong grudge against her, and it's her fault. She's the one who told him the reason for our divorce. He knows that his sister is the result of the affair, and he makes sure everyone is aware of it. He even informed my girlfriend before I had the chance to do so. I was trying not to burden my girlfriend with all my problems since I was a newly divorced father with a lot of emotional baggage, but my son is filled with anger. As for my daughter, she takes after her mother. She lies, manipulates, and employs the same tactics while reacting in the same way when things don't go her way. She's learned from the best. I know, it's unfortunate that I had to resort to installing cameras, but I did it. It gives me peace of mind, knowing that my ex can't play that twisted game against me. It also provides a tremendous sense of relief when I'm at work and my girlfriend is home alone. I can easily check in and see what she's up to, whether she's reading a book, watching a movie, or playing video games online with my son or her younger brother, who happens to be the same age. Having those cameras helps me deal with my trust issues.